The unstable pull the triggers, but they are inspired by the hate tolerated and encouraged by the leadership of the Democrat Party.
Jay Jones, who's running for attorney general in Virginia, is being called to drop out of the race by a slew of Republican officials. Leaked text messages from 2022 show the Democrat calling for violence against former Republican Virginia House Speaker Todd Gilbert and his family. The text messages reveal Jones said he would rather shoot Gilbert over dictators Adolf Hitler and Pol Pot. Jones went on to say he believes Gilbert and his wife are, quote, breeding little fascists, and hoping his children would die. His Republican opponent, Attorney General Jason Miyares, slammed Jones in an open letter to all Virginians. Jay Jones wished for the violent death of a political opponent and then fantasized about that opponent's children dying. This conduct is disqualifying. Prior to this week, this race was about competing views on public safety. Now, it's about basic fitness for public office. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin responded saying, this violent, disgusting rhetoric targeted at an elected official and his children is beyond disqualifying. There's no gosh, I'm sorry here. He then called on his Democratic running mates to tell Jones to end his disgraced campaign. Abigail Spanberger, the Democratic candidate for governor, said she spoke to Jones about the text messages, but stopped short of calling for him to drop out of the race. Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl-Sears, who is the Republican gubernatorial nominee, blasted Spanberger for her response. Jay Jones literally fantasized about killing a man and 2 children, and Abigail Spanberger still doesn't have the guts to tell him to drop out. But she didn't stop there. During a press conference Saturday night, Sears is now calling for Spanberger to leave the race.
So it is not enough for Jay Jones to drop out of the race. Let me be clear. Spanberger's continuing support for Jay Jones is also disqualifying her for office. Let your rage fuel you. Remember, Abigail said, she and her party's irresponsible behavior have brought us to this point.
Jones has apologized, saying he takes full responsibility for his comments and that he reached out to Gilbert to apologize to him and his family. Even if Jones dropped out of the race, he would still get votes, since ballots have been printed and early voting has already begun. A recent poll from Christopher Newport University shows Jones leading Miyares by 7 points. As voting continues through November 4th, the scandal could have a major impact on the election. I'm Amy DeLaura for Washington Examiner.
This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa, through the police body cam, Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope. Now, we just got done watching the news where the person that's nominated for the Democratic Party as the upcoming Attorney General engaged in political violence. Apparently 2 years ago, he released text messages where he's talking about shooting his opponent. Political violence. Now, when I first heard about Jay Jones sending those text messages, I was upset. I was really angry because this is an individual that I hoped that I was going to reach out to, that's going to look at what is going on in our community. Specifically, the falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari. For the past 2.5 years, we've been dealing with a case that's coming out of Prince William County, where police falsified the whole entire case. The police department crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle, falsified his statements, weaponized the children and abused them in the process, weaponized children against Mustafa. Used individuals that are fabricating and manufacturing probable cause. Falsified the whole entire case. Mustafa Al-Jazari lost his family in a vehicle accident. The details that are coming out of this case, that this is a car accident, that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. And the police department falsified the whole entire case. Now, I was hoping that I would reach out to Jay Jones and tell him about the case of Mustafa Al-Jazari. Tell him about another case of Tatiana David, a completely separate case that's also coming out of our community, Prince William County, where police told the news that they found Tatiana David outside her vehicle. But I have a body cam that show police not only murdered Tatiana David, but engaged in a cover-up. On body cam, you see police are dragging Tatiana David out of her vehicle, only to put her away from the vehicle, only to come out on the news and say that Tatiana David, they found her outside the vehicle. So we have that body cam, and the person that sealed off that body cam to protect the cover-up of Tatiana David is Commonwealth Amy Ashworth. The person that sealed off the body cams and the file of Mustafa Al-Jazari is Commonwealth Amy Ashworth. Now, Amy Ashworth is on an ad that's endorsing Jay Jones. And when I saw that ad, I said, I'm going to reach out to Jay Jones. Because our current Attorney General, Jason Myers, is completely silent on the issue. He has the body cams on his desk, but is completely silent on the issue. Children that are weaponized and abused in the process. Jason Myers is completely silent on the issue. So when you have Jay Jones running for election as the next Attorney General, I wanted to reach out to Jay Jones. Specifically, when Amy Ashworth is on an ad endorsing Jay Jones, that he's here for public safety. Let's watch the ad. This is an ad that's running all over. And if you go on Google, you can easily look up this ad. You just type Amy Ashworth. Jay Jones. All right.
As a sheriff,
as a prosecutor,
Jay Jones is who we trust to keep Virginia safe as our next Attorney General.
Jay Jones has the experience. He's been an assistant attorney general and a state lawmaker.
Jay Jones increased funding for police and cracked down on sex offenders.
As Attorney General, Jay Jones will put violent criminals and drug traffickers where they belong, behind bars.
I'm Jay Jones, running for Attorney General to keep Virginia safe.
Keep Virginia safe. What you just watched right there is Commonwealth Amy Ashworth. Let's rewind this a little bit. This is Commonwealth Amy Ashworth.
Increased funding for police and cracked down on sex offenders.
Crack down on sex offenders. That's interesting, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, because in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, you're using a sex offender. You're using a pedophile in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case as your star witness. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, you're terrified that I have this file that you sealed, that now I have, and I'm leaking all over the internet, but because on body cam, the star witness says, one, Mustafa doesn't know me. Wait a minute. The star witness says Mustafa doesn't know him. Glenn Ford, your star witness, says Mustafa doesn't know him. Wait a minute. That's the ex-boyfriend of Dorothy, Mustafa's girlfriend. Your witness says Mustafa doesn't know me. And then he goes on and he says, everything that I'm telling you, Investigator Davis, I wasn't there for it. I didn't witness it. I didn't see it. I wasn't there for it. That's interesting. So you're manufacturing a story. Probable cause, manufacturing a story on Mustafa. And Commonwealth Amy Ashworth is so terrified that she sealed that body cam. She's so terrified that now I have that body cam. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, your star witness, Glenn Ford, on a recorded line admitted to a private investigator that he drugged and slept with a minor, a 16-year-old. But I guess you don't care about your star witness being a pedophile as long as you're going to prosecute Mustafa, even if your star witness is lying to you. But here you're telling the community that you support Jay Jones because he's tough on pedophiles. He's tough on sex offenders. That's interesting. So when I saw this ad, I wanted to reach out to Jay Jones because our current Attorney General, Jason Myers, is unresponsive. He has the body cams and the file of Mustafa Al-Jazari. He has the file of Tatiana David. And he's nowhere to be found. As a matter of fact, you can't even reach him. You can't talk to him. You can't reach him. He's nowhere to be found. I get really angry when I'm out and about and I see our community putting a sign right in front of in their front yards with Jason Myers, the people protector. Literally, that's what the sign says. Vote for Jason Myers, the people protector. What are we talking about? What the fuck are we talking about? Where is Jason Myers? He's out telling this community that he's a people protector, that he's running on public safety. Is he? Well, where is he from the falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari? Where is he from the murder of Tatiana David? Police murdered Tatiana David and covered it up. Where is Jason Myers? So when I saw this ad, I wanted to reach out to Jason Myers. I wanted to reach out to Jay Jones. Not Jason Myers. Jason Myers is nowhere to be found. So I wanted to reach out to Jay Jones. One, tell him that the person that's endorsing you, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, is using a pedophile in the case of Mustafa Al-Jazari, that she's using police officer that falsified the whole entire case and abused children in the process, crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle, falsified his statement. And then I wake up to the October surprise. They always talk about the October surprise. Text messages that were sent 2 years ago, now they're coming to light. And the Republican Party, Jason Myers, Lieutenant Governor Sears, who's running for governor against Abigail Spanberger, is so angry at Jay Jones. How could a public official engage in political violence? Forget political violence, Lieutenant Governor Sears tells Abigail Spanberger. She tells her it's violence. How could Jay Jones engage in that kind of behavior? Well, when you find out that Lieutenant Governor Sears, who's running for governor, telling this community, running on public safety, she has the file of Mustafa Al-Jazari. She has the body cam in the document of the falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari. She has the body cam of Tatiana David on her desk. As a matter of fact, in a lot of our videos, we tagged her in it. We sent her the file, but she's nowhere to be found. But she's upset at Jay Jones for engaging in violence. What about the police officer that killed Tatiana David, ma'am? What about the police officers like investigator Robert Drum, who falsified Mustafa's statement? Investigator Davis, who coached and weaponized and brought in individuals that fabricated stories about Mustafa, who's openly talking about pumping money into Mustafa's case. But it's going to require spending money. They're pumping money into Mustafa's case. Officers. What about Investigator Romero that weaponized children, a 9, a 10, a 14, a 16, against Mustafa? Abused them in the process. What about Investigator Romero, man? Those body cams are on your desk. But you want to tell this community that you're upset at Jay Jones for sending those text messages. I mean, the hypocrisy. And I'm calling out the hypocrisy here. They're nowhere to be found on issues that are coming out of our community, but yet they come out and tell this community that they're here for public safety. The problem here is they're betting on the fact that this community is not going to hear what's coming out of this community because the news is in their pocket. Which media outlet is running with the body cam of Tatiana David? Where on body cam, it shows that police murdered and engaged in a cover-up. Where's Julie Carey with NBC4? She's nowhere to be found. Where's Channel 7? Specifically, Victoria, who always hosts the chief of police out of Prince William County on her channel. Chief of Police Peter Newsham is a regular on Channel 7. But he's never asked about the body cams of Tatiana David. He's never asked about the body cams of Mustafa Al-Jazari. Because the media is in the pocket of the police department. And I want to make sure when you're listening to this podcast, what I'm specifically talking about when I say the police department, I'm not talking about the police officer that are out here in our community serving and protecting our community. I'm not talking about those police officers. The majority of police serve our community. They swear an oath to our community. They're from this community. I'm talking about the leadership, the corrupt leadership in our department that protect police officers, that falsify and engage in cover-ups, falsified reports. I'm talking about the leadership. I'm talking about every police officer that is out serving our community. The majority of police protect our community. I have a really good relationship with a lot of police officers. As a matter of fact, they go as far as some will tell me specifically, make it a point to tell me, Salaam alaikum. How are you today? Beautiful conversations that I engage with those officers. As a matter of fact, this podcast is dedicated for those officers, for them to continue to be able to do their job and protect this community. Officers that falsify and engage in police misconduct make it difficult for those police officers to do their job. You don't think they intimidate the other police officers in the police department? Of course they do. If you got a police officer that's been there with the department for 19 years, who's engaged in falsifying police report, you think his fellow police officer can say anything when the leadership protects police misconduct? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, it makes it harder for that officer to do a good job in this community. Continue to protect this community. Because he's got to watch out for that bad police officer. He's got to watch out for his leadership. We have files on specific police officers, and we're asking for accountability. And we're here to call the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy in who's running for election on both parties, the Republican and the Democrat. And what I ask you, before you vote, don't vote just on Republican or Democrat. No, reach out to these people that are asking you to vote for them. When Lieutenant Governor Sears, who's running for governor, is asking you to vote for her, before you put your vote, ask her about the falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari. Tell her those body cams are on your desk. They're all over the internet. She's all over the internet. She's tagged in multiple body cams where children are being abused. Officer falsifying this case. Next time you put your vote, ask her, what have you done? What have you done about the falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari? What have you done about officers engaged in abusing children? What have you done about Mustafa's vehicle crushed and staged? The next time you want to vote, before you vote for Abigail Spanberger, who's asking you, the person that's running against Lieutenant Governor Sears is Abigail Spanberger. She's telling you, vote me in. as your next attorney general. She's running against Jay Jones. Before you vote for Abigail Spanberger, ask her, what have you done about the falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari? What have you done about the body cam that's on your desk of Tatiana David? I get so angry when I watch the debate between Abigail Spanberger and Lieutenant Governor Sears. The hypocrisy where Lieutenant Governor Sears is telling Abigail Spanberger about Jay Jones' text messages, and she tells her, forget the political violence. She says it's violence that Jay Jones is engaged in. And not on my watch that I'm going to tolerate this in my community. Well, ma'am, what about Tatiana David? Does she not count? And I remind Lieutenant Governor Sears, Tatiana David is a service member. She served our country for 5 years. Tatiana David has a 5-year-old baby that's growing up, that's going to be asking, what happened to my mother? Why am I watching a body cam where police murder and cover up the murder of my mother? Lieutenant Governor Sears is hoping that the news is not going to run with the story, that the news is in their pocket, that this community is not going to find out. Let's watch the debate between Lieutenant Governor Sears and Abigail Spanberger.
Our next question is about the temperature and tone of political speech. The first example has been shaping the race for governor and attorney general for the past week. You both will have a chance for rebuttal. Democratic Attorney General nominee Jay Jones admits he sent text messages to a colleague referencing former Republican House Speaker Todd Gilbert. Here's what he wrote.
Jones. 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. Colleague. Jay, please stop. Jones. LOL, okay. I mean, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes. Colleague. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. Jones. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy.
Jay Jones has apologized and says he takes full responsibility for those messages. Ms. Spanberger, you have called the comments disgusting and said you condemn violence. The question for you tonight is, were you aware of these messages before they were released publicly? And will you continue to endorse Jay Jones as the next Attorney General of Virginia? You have 60 seconds.
The comments that Jay Jones made are absolutely abhorrent. I denounced them when I learned of them, and I will denounce them every opportunity I get. As a mother, as a public servant, as a candidate for governor, I denounce them. And it is important that candidates always.
Lieutenant Sears looks at Spanberger as she says that she denounced the text messages that are sent by Jay Jones. That's interesting. She denounced, Abigail Spanberger denounces that text message. What about the murder of Tatiana David, ma'am? What about the murder of Tatiana David? The body cam that's on your desk. I don't see you talking about Tatiana David. I don't see you denouncing the police officer out of Prince William County and Virginia State Police on body cam murdering Tatiana David. Wait a minute. I thought you were a former CIA. Every ad that you run, that you're a former CIA, that you served this country. Tatiana David served this country for 5 years. But I don't see you denouncing those officers that murdered that poor girl. The body cam is on your desk. And Lieutenant Governor Sears looks on to Abigail Spanberger in shock. And I was hoping that Lieutenant Governor Sears is going to come out and say, I have a body cam on my fucking desk where police murdered a service member. I have another file where police falsified the case of Mustafa Al-Jazari. Weaponized and abused children against Mustafa. I'm hoping that Lieutenant Governor Sears is going to say something. And instead, they're completely silent on the issues that are coming out of our community. And it's almost like they're putting on a show. They're putting on a show. You have Jay Jones that these text messages are sent to almost 2 years ago. And they're laughing about it. The October surprise. I mean, what are you talking about? You're angry over text, but not a murder? An actual murder that took place in our community on a body cam that's on your desk. A falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari where children are abused and weaponized in the process. You're not talking about those cases. If anybody is watching, what they call these two individuals is opportunists. It sure sounds like they don't really care about the text messages. All they care about is attacking their opponent. They don't care about the text messages. They don't care that Jay Jones is engaged in political violence. They don't care about that. All they care about is attacking their opponent. Because if they really cared about our community, they would talk about what's coming out of our community. Let's continue watching. And specifically what Lieutenant Governor Sears is going to tell Abigail Spanberger.
Announce violence on no matter which side of the aisle. Violence, violent rhetoric. We should always be focused and forceful in our denouncement
is, are
of
you
it.
going to tell him
and
to get
importantly, my opponent, unfortunately, only denounces violence when her side is the target.
Did you hear what she just said? My opponent, and what she's really talking about, not just her opponent, she's talking about herself too. That she only denounces violence when it's convenient for her. I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying here. That you, Abigail Spanberger, you, Lieutenant Governor Sears, don't care about the public safety in our community. You only care to weaponize these issues so you can attack your opponent. I mean, if you cared, you would talk about Tatiana David. You would talk about the falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari. But you two are completely silent on the issue.
Don't
I
lie
hope
like that,
into
Abigail.
the future, she will endeavor to denounce violent rhetoric and violence no matter who the victim. And tonight, Lieutenant Governor Earl Sears, I will say, you routinely refer to me as your enemy.
Sears, just please give her a chance to
routinely
respond.
refer to me as your enemy. I'm not your enemy. You are not my enemy. We are political opponents, and tonight voters are here to listen to the policy differences that we have. So as we move forward, we must continue to set a good example for all of our children.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger. I didn't hear an answer there on the endorsement issue, so I want to just make sure. Will you continue to endorse Jay Jones to be the next Attorney General of Virginia? And were you aware of these text messages before they released? You have 30 seconds.
In fact, it appears that it was those who released the text messages and held them for years. So the public was unaware who had knowledge of these text messages for many years.
What did you do about it?
I learned of these text messages the day that they came out, and I denounced them as soon as I learned of them.
She denounces murder.
And importantly, at this point, as we move forward, the voters now have this information that was withheld for them.
You're running to
presumably for political.
She's talking about the public, and the public is not aware. She's asking you, are you aware of the text messages? She's not talking about this community. I mean, how are the community going to find out if the news didn't tell us that Jay Jones sent these violent texts? Are you aware? And I'm going to bet, yes, you were aware. I mean, this is on the same, you're a Democrat. You're running for, Abigail Spanberger is running for governor. Jay Jones is running for attorney general on the Democratic Party. You want to tell me that on the same Democratic Party, you're not aware and you're endorsing this? I'm going to call bullshit on that. You absolutely are aware of what Jay Jones has sent 2 years ago. You're only upset now that the community is aware that those text messages were sent. And I come back to the body cams in the file of Tatiana David, the murder of Tatiana David by police, who you have on your desk, but you're completely silent, hoping that this community is not going to find out. And you only come out when the community does find out. You and your opponent, Lieutenant Governor Sears, you both have those files on your desk. But you're hoping that Commonwealth Amy Ashworth is going to come after me, shut down my channel, come and have me stop talking about those cases. I mean, Amy Ashworth is weaponizing the courts, and she miserably failed. Amy Ashworth, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, came after me through the court system to have me shut down my channel, remove the files. Her and her prosecutor, Sarah Sammy, miserably failed. I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. Abigail Spanberger and Lieutenant Governor Sears hoping that they're not going to talk about these files that's on their desk because Amy Ashworth is working to have me get removed. Well, I'm not going anywhere. And this community is going to find out, even if the news or major media outlet is not telling the community what they're doing behind closed doors. Here she talks about the community was not aware. I'm not aware. Yeah, I'm going to call bullshit on that. Ma'am, you're absolutely were aware of those texts. And now you're upset that they're out in the open and you have nothing to say. I mean, what, you're against political violence. You're against any violence. No, you're not. We have officers that murdered Tatiana David, falsified the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, and you're completely quiet. Let's continue.
Reasons, but the voters now have the information, and it is up to voters to make an individual choice based on this information.
Ms. Bamberger, I understand what you're saying about the voters, but for you yourself, do you still continue to endorse Jay Jones? 15 seconds, yes or no?
We are all running our individual races. I believe my opponent has said that about her lieutenant governor nominee.
Ms. Earl Sayers,
and it's up to every person to make their own decision. I am running my race to serve Virginia, and that is what I intend to do.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger. We just want to clarify, what you're saying is that as of now, you still endorse Jay Jones as Attorney General.
I'm saying as of now, it's up to every voter to make their own individual decision. I am running for governor. I am accountable for the words that I say, for the acts that I take, for the policies that I have put out.
Thank you.
I am responsible for the policies I put out and the work I will endeavor to do tirelessly for the people of Virginia.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger. Ms. Earl Sears, before we get to rebuttals, because we will get to rebuttals, we have a question for you. While there is no equivalency, this next example does speak to the divided nature of our country. During the Charlie Kirk Memorial, President Trump said, quote, "I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them." Is there a place for that kind of political speech? You have 60 seconds.
Well, I think as everybody knows, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian before I'm a Republican, and I'm required to forgive people. And it's hard sometimes when somebody has abused you, etc., but it's something you must do, because not to forgive is almost like, as someone said, you drink poison thinking that it's going to affect the other person. And I want to live a decent life, and I don't want to not have peace in my life. And so as I've said before, I would not say that. So that's why I'm wondering why my opponent won't say, beyond it's abhorrent and disgusting, why she won't say it is not okay and that he must leave the race, because Jay Jones advocated the murder, Abigail, the murder of a man, a former speaker as well as his children who were 2 and 5 years old. You have little girls. What would it take him pulling the trigger? Is that what would do it? And then you would say he needs to get out of the race?
The murder, she tells you. Lieutenant Governor Sears tells you, advocated for the murder. Would it take you, Abigail Spanberger, for Jay Jones to pull the trigger? Well, I'll tell you who pulled the triggers, ma'am. I'll tell you who pulled the trigger. And you have those body cams on your desk. Lieutenant Governor Sears is Prince William County police officers. Specifically, Officer Casey Fines and other officers in his unit that are seen on body cam, along with another agency, Virginia State Police, who put 50 AR bullet hole into a vehicle of Tatiana David, murdering Tatiana David, and then are seen on body cam that you have on your desk, Lieutenant Governor Sears, are engaged in a cover-up. They drag her out of that vehicle, put her somewhere else away from the vehicle, only to tell us on the news that they found her outside the vehicle. But you sit there and you tell Abigail Spanberger, would it take Jay Jones to pull the trigger? Ma'am, you have a body cam where they murdered a service member, a girl who served our country for 5 years. That poor girl put her life on the line for this country. I thought you say that you're a Marine. But you want to completely look the other way. Oh, I get it. You're hoping that this community doesn't find out about Tatiana David, murdered by the police. You're hoping that this community is not going to find out about the falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari. Oh, that's right. You're betting that the media outlets are not reporting on it. That you got individuals like Julie Carey with NBC4 who covered up for the police department. Well, Julie Carey can't continue to cover up for the police department because I have the files and I'm actively leaking them on the internet. And every day, this community is slowly finding out about what they're doing behind closed doors in these cases. My favorite conversation is when I'm out and about, and Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, I want you to listen really close, specifically Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. Your biggest worry is that this community is tuned in. When I'm out and about, I run into conservative white women. When I tell them about what you're doing in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, I had a beautiful interaction with a lady out of our local church who came out, and I give her my card for the podcast, and I tell her about what I talk about. She's disgusted with you, specifically with you, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, how you falsified a whole entire case. A conservative white woman. And if I can have a conservative white woman rally behind me on what I talk about, you should be very terrified. This community is not okay with your bullshit. A man loses his family in a car accident, and you're going to use police officers that are racist, that already didn't like Mustafa because he was suing the police, that when he got in a car accident, they take advantage of a vehicle accident. And to them, it doesn't matter that this is a car accident because a white girl is dead. Mustafa's girlfriend is white. So Mustafa, who lived, a white girl is dead. We already had Mustafa on our radar. He was suing us for $500,000. We don't care if this is a car accident. Racist police officers who are actively deleting and manipulating, and in the process, weaponize children against Mustafa, a 9, a 10, a 14, a 16. They don't care that every detail showed that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. You, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, is going to be held accountable by law. Now, let's continue watching this. I want to move into what specifically Jay Jones said as a reply to the text messages that came out about him engaged in political violence. All right, let's continue.
Abigail, you have nothing to say? Abigail, what if he said it about your your 3 children? Is that when you would say he should get out of the race, Abigail?
I mean, this
You're
is
running to be governor.
Performance at its finest. Abigail, you have nothing to say? What if this was your children? What about the children in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? The children that Mustafa was a father figure in their life. That when he was in a coma, gets in a car accident, is in a coma, helicopter to the hospital, you have investigator Romero weaponize the children against Mustafa. In the process, abuse these children. What about those children, Lieutenant Governor Sears? You're looking at the body cams. You have them on your desk. What about those children? What about the children of Tatiana David, who was murdered by the police? What about her child? A 5-year-old that's going to grow up and ask, what happened to my mother? Why am I watching the police murder my mom? What about those children?
Earl Sears, I know you're saying that you would not personally say this, but do you think still that there is that place for that kind of rhetoric, the example that we gave, even coming from others? You have 30 seconds.
So I'm responsible for my behavior and what I've said. I've just said I wouldn't say that. I would not speak that way. Look, I'm from a third world country. I was born in Jamaica. And when I was 10 years old, I saw that kind of political violence, which is why I'm asking my opponent to please ask him to get out of the race, have some political courage. What you have done is you are taking political calculations about your future as governor. Well, as governor, you have to make hard choices, and that means telling Jay Jones to leave the race. I have seen what it means when people are shot in the streets and thrown in the back of cars just for political purposes. I don't want to see that in America. America must never be that.
I mean, the hypocrisy here on both aisles. You have Lieutenant Governor Sears, and then you have Abigail Spanberger. They're sitting there talking about text messages that are sent 2 years ago. But they don't want to address the body cams of an actual murder that is on their desk. Police murder Tatiana David, but they don't want to talk about it. They want to talk about text messages. The next time, before you put your vote for either one of those 2 clowns, ask them, what have you done about the falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari? What have you done about the murder of Tatiana David by the police? Before you vote for those 2 clowns, I think we should get an answer. Let's quickly go over what Jay Jones is. He came out on the news and addressed the text messages that
have been
are
printed.
released. Let's see. There we go.
Do you want to successfully pass your Part 107?
Of over 1 million people, you said in that scenario, quote, 2 bullets, Gilbert would get 2 bullets to the head. What were you thinking?
You know, Tyler, thank you for having me and for giving me the opportunity to apologize. And I sincerely and from the bottom of my heart want to express my remorse and my regret for what happened and what I said. That language has no place in our discourse.
You
and
send the text
I am
messages.
So remorseful for what happened.
What are you talking about?
I actually
You
reached
send the
out
text
to
messages.
Speaker Gilbert this afternoon to apologize to him and to Jennifer and to their children, because I know that they are angry and furious, and they are well within all of their bounds to feel that way, because what I said was unacceptable, and I accept responsibility for that. And I want them to know, and I want the people of Virginia to know, that I am so deeply, deeply embarrassed, and that I understand the gravity of what I said, and I am so apologetic for it from the bottom of my heart.
In this election, you're asking Virginians to vote for a man who compared his political opponents to mass murderers. Isn't that type of rhetoric disqualifying for someone who's seeking statewide office in Virginia?
Well, the rhetoric has no place
disqualifying.
in our landscape, no place in our discourse, and again, for that, I am deeply, deeply sorry. I should have never done it. It's very embarrassing to me, and certainly I regret it.
The National Review's article, which came out today, says after those text messages were sent to Carrie Coyner, you picked up the phone and called her. You said, according to the article, I'm quoting, Gilbert's wife could watch her own child die in her arms so that Gilbert might reconsider his political views. Did you say that?
Bottom line is that the language is unacceptable. And again, I deeply, deeply, deeply wish that it hadn't happened.
The language is unacceptable. You send the text messages. You're that kind of person that engage in political violence. And I'm supposed to ask you to look at the falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari or the murder of Tatiana David by the police? I'm expecting you to weigh in? Just when you think there is fucking hope that I'm going to reach out to this clown and have him maybe weigh in on what these cases, on what police are doing in these cases. Jason Myers, the current Attorney General, is completely silent. Completely. He's nowhere to be found, completely silent. Files on his desk. He wants to hide behind that these cases are sealed, where they're no longer sealed when I've actively accessed evidence.com, the server for the police department, and I took all the files. The file of Mustafa Al-Jazari, the file of Tatiana David, other files of police misconduct. And I'm leaking them on the internet. Jason Myers, you want to tell this community that you're here on public safety? You're running on public safety. Well, you're completely silent on the issues. You want to hide behind Amy Ashworth sealing off these cases? They're no longer sealed because I've released them on the internet. I sent those body cams and files to you. You have them on your desk. So when I see Jay Jones running against Jason Myers, I'm thinking there's hope. And then I wake up to this bullshit. How could you weigh in on falsified cases that's coming out of our county when you're engaged in violence? And who supports you? Of course, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth endorses you. Of course, Abigail Spanberger, who's also been silent on the issue. I mean, what do they hope that's going to come out of our community? That the news is in their pocket, that this community is asleep, they don't know what is going on behind closed doors? That's what they're betting on. I mean, why are they so terrified that I have these files? Why are they so terrified that I have a podcast and I'm releasing and leaking body cam that show police misconduct? You would think that our government officials would take these files and have accountability. Instead, they look the other way, hoping that one, they can have you delete your body cam, come after you through the court system, and have you just go away. Well, they're here, and they're finding out that the courts ruled in my favor. They can't shut down this channel. Amy Ashworth, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, you coming after me through the court did not work. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, You coming after me through the court did not work. I'm here for the long haul, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to see you in federal prison. And that's not a threat, ma'am. That is a fucking promise. Now, Mustafa's defense attorney filed multiple Brady motions. 18 Brady violations went through, and Judge Carol Weimer, the presiding judge, approved the Brady violations. They went forward. And some of the Brady violation is that Mustafa's vehicle was crushed and staged by the police. Mustafa's vehicle looks, we have pictures that look one way, and then inside the police department, they completely crushed Mustafa's car to make it look like a head-on collision. When in fact, that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. Mustafa cleared all the vehicles, made it to the fourth lane, and the SUV turned into Mustafa. Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time. Specifically, in one of the police body cam, it shows that Mustafa had brake failure. Investigator Davis, the police department, is inspecting Mustafa's vehicle, and they find brake failure on body cam that Commonwealth Amy Ashworth sealed. So the details show that this is a vehicle accident. Police department crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle. In one of the Brady motions, the children are weaponized in the process against Mustafa. Mustafa was in a coma. Mustafa's helicoptered to the hospital. And then you have Investigator Romero actively weaponizing the children against Mustafa. In the process, abused the children. Child abuse. Children, a 9, a 10, a 14, a 16, weaponized against Mustafa. Now, we have home videos that shows the children loved Mustafa. I have a forensic interview that the children are talking about. The police told them 1, 2, and 3, 4. And specifically, one of the things that they told the children, Mustafa killed your mother on purpose. He crashed the vehicle on purpose. Mustafa ran away, left your baby sister to bleed to death. We, the police, could have saved your baby sister if Mustafa didn't run away. That's what they're telling children that are 9, 10, and 14. And then they walk them into a forensic interview. You just got done weaponizing these children. These are children that needed Mustafa in their most vulnerable state. A Mustafa that's a father figure in their life. You don't have to sit here and take my word for it. I have the Google Nest videos that the prosecution is so terrified from that we got our hand on the Google Nest videos that shows Mustafa loved the children. It's a beautiful relationship. The prosecutor tells Judge Weimer, Your Honor, the children were not weaponized or abused. And the only time the children were spoken to is in the forensic interview. Well, hold on now. I have a forensic interview where the child, specifically Javen, is talking about Investigator Romero told him that Mustafa ran away, left his 5-year-old baby sister to bleed to death. They could have saved her, but Mustafa ran away. Mustafa was in a coma, helicoptered to the hospital. Why is Investigator Romero weaponizing these children? I mean, you as a prosecutor, you want to tell Judge Weimer, Your Honor, the only time the children were spoken to was in the forensic interview. But the children says otherwise. So the question is, where is the body cams with Investigator Romero when he spoke to the children? before they were walked into the forensic interview. Now, Judge Weimer turns to, those body cams are not in the server, by the way. Evidence.com, the police department server, Mustafa's file, those body cams have not been uploaded. They're kept in a separate file that incriminates the police. And the prosecutor has to come out with those body cam. This is exculpatory evidence. Specifically, Brady versus Maryland. This is exculpatory evidence where those body cam have to be given to the defense attorney. Any communication that you've had with witnesses has to be given to the defense attorney. Those children are being used as witnesses. Now, you want to tell me that your police officer engaged in weaponizing these children? Now, the prosecutor first tells Judge Weimer, Your Honor, the children were not weaponized. Mustafa's defense attorney tells Judge Weimer, absolutely, they were weaponized. We have children that are talking about the children being weaponized, that they were spoken to before the forensic interview and told a bunch of lies that weaponized the children against Mustafa. The prosecutor turns around and she says, Your Honor, I am not aware of any communication. I have no idea what Investigator Romero or any other police officer did with the children or the witnesses. Your Honor, I have no idea. So she immediately threw those police officers, is actively throwing those police officers under the bus. Well, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, what if I show you a body cam that you were notified of the communication? I mean, I have multiple body cams in Mustafa's file where you're being actively notified every step of the way. When they weaponized the children, when they crushed Mustafa's vehicle. You're telling me that the prosecutor is being notified, and I'm going to go as far as instruct the police on what to do. Manipulate, hide, and falsify the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. And today, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to throw the police officer under the bus and says, I don't know what my police officer did. I was not aware of the communications. Well, that's not true, ma'am, because I have body cams, multiple body cams, where you're being notified of the communication. You're being notified of what is going on. As a matter of fact, I have the whole discovery where police officers are telling you what they're doing. When they're crushing and staging Mustafa's car, when they're weaponizing the children, when they're falsifying Mustafa's statements. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, Judge Weimer specifically. Judge Weimer, the presiding judge in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. How do you feel about a prosecutor that's flat out lying to you? Now, I'm going to show you a body cam, a specific body cam, where Investigator Davis, who's not with the Children Forensic Unit, is on speed dial with a 16-year-old, Dorothy's daughter. And then immediately, wait a minute, he's not with the Children Forensic Unit, but he's on speed dial with the 16-year-old, a 16-year-old who doesn't live at the apartment, is separated by CPS, lives with her dad, and you find out that her dad works for someone, a club owner out of Crystal City, who has a major problem with Mustafa before Mustafa met Dorothy, his girlfriend. That's interesting. And they're using that 16-year-old as a witness when on body cam she says, I didn't see anything anything that I'm telling you, I wasn't there for it. Essentially manufacturing probable cause, manufacturing a story, lying about Mustafa. On body cam, she says, I wasn't there for anything that I'm telling you. Investigator Davis is on body cam. He has a 16-year-old on speed dial. He's not with the Children Forensic Unit. I thought the Children Forensic Unit is supposed to handle the children. But yet you've got this investigator on speed dial, And then as soon as he gets done with that 16-year-old, he, on body cam, he's dialing Prosecutor Sammy phone number. We're going to watch that body cam. But Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, Judge Weimer, the presiding judge in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, she's telling you, I was not aware of any communication. That's interesting. Judge Weimer ruled that all the Brady violations goes through, except for one thing. Mustafa's defense attorney wanted the communication between the prosecutor, the Commonwealth attorney, with the officers involved in this case, with the witnesses involved in this case, the alleged witnesses. He wanted the communication because it shows that officers have falsified this case with the prosecutor who not only knows about her officer falsifying this case, but is instructing those officers and coaching individuals that is being brought as witnesses. Witnesses that on body cam tell you we were not there. So the prosecutor is communicating and manipulating and using officers and instructing officers to falsify this case. So Brad Hayward, the defense attorney, wanted those communication, and he's entitled to these communication. The case out of the Supreme Court, Brady versus Maryland, entitles the defense attorney, Brad Hayward, to these communication. Judge Weimer denied the communication to be released. That's not legal. Judge Weimer can't do that. What is he doing? I mean, is Judge Weimer protecting this prosecutor? Absolutely. Is Judge Weimer protecting those police officers in this case? Absolutely. Judge Weimer has to release the communication from the prosecutor. I mean, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy sits there and she tells Judge Weimer, Your Honor, I was not aware of the communication. Well, hold on now. I have a specific body cam where Investigator Davis is on speed dial with the 16-year-old. And then as soon as he gets off the phone with that 16-year-old, who's being used as a witness in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, notifies the prosecutor. Specifically, Sarah Sammy. How do you think I got the phone number of Prosecutor Sarah Sammy? I have it from the body cam, where Investigator Davis is dialing Prosecutor Sarah Sammy as soon as he got off the phone with the 16-year-old. But Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to tell Judge Weimer, Your Honor, I'm not aware of any communication. What do you mean? I'm watching you on a body cam being notified by Investigator Davis. The same investigator not only is weaponizing that 16-year-old, not only, on other body cam, I have him tell the ex-boyfriend who says, I was never there, I didn't see anything, Mustafa doesn't even know me, is telling Glenn Ford, we need you, we need to get Mustafa, we need to get our ducks in a row, we need to get Mustafa off the street. We need you, Glenn Ford. The police are telling a fake witness, we need to get our ducks in a row, we need you to get Mustafa off the street. And then you have another body cam where he's manufacturing lies. And this Glenn Ford is so dumb that he literally says on a body cam, I was never there for anything I'm telling you. Oh yeah, by the way, Mustafa doesn't even know me. What do you mean? You're building a whole entire case that Mustafa is a jealous boyfriend. Because of the ex-boyfriend, he crashed a vehicle on purpose. You're saying that's the motive. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. Glenn Ford says Mustafa doesn't even know me. You're telling me that Mustafa is a jealous ex-boyfriend and crashed a vehicle not knowing Glenn Ford? He doesn't even know Glenn Ford? As a matter of fact, when Mustafa was talking to Investigator Robert Drum, he had nothing but nice things to say about Glenn Ford. We'll go over that phone call. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, when Mustafa's defense attorney is telling Judge Weimer, Your Honor, Robert Drum falsified Mustafa's statement. Sarah Sammy wants to sit there and shake her head. Sarah Sammy, you can shake your head all you want. We have the recording of the conversation where investigator Robert Drum said, Mustafa told me he was arguing with Dorothy inside the vehicle. We have the phone call where Mustafa never said that. Robert Drum falsified Mustafa's statement. So you can sit there and shake your head all you want. We have the recording. Let's watch the body cam where Davis is notifying prosecutor Sarah Sammy. And this is specifically for Judge Carol Weimer. Judge Weimer, how are you okay with the prosecutor that's flat out lying to you? She wants to tell you that she was not aware of any communication that took place with her officers. That's interesting. Let's watch. This is exhibit. So if you go on YouTube, I've got a playlist on YouTube under Not Another Boring Podcast, a playlist called Police Body Cam - Mustafa Al-Jazari. These body cams are numbered as exhibits. And if you specifically go to exhibit, let's see. There we go. Exhibit 48.
Ranges and fryers and steam tables.
It's like an aisle for the gods.
Whether you run a restaurant, aspiring cook, or chef.
In Exhibit 48, you'll see a body cam. April 11, 2023. This is a body cam where investigator Davis is in his cruiser. And you'll hear investigator Davis dials 16-year-old Kylie. And in the background, the neighbor is there. The neighbor who essentially lies about Mustafa and then turns around and tell the mother of Mustafa, admit to the mother of Mustafa that Mustafa is the best thing that happened to these children. Mustafa loved his girlfriend and the children. That's interesting. So that neighbor, Tanisha Coleman, is in the background with the 16-year-old who's a minor, and investigator Davis is not with the children forensic unit, but he's got Kylie on speed dial. And then as soon as he gets off the phone with Kylie, he dials the prosecutor. But the prosecutor wants to tell Judge Weimer that she is not notified and is not aware of any communication. That's interesting. Let's watch the body cam.
Him to come in, second, third, maybe he's like the 2.5 tight end.
Hello?
Hey, Kylie, it's Investigator Davis.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, somebody had to speed by me in a school zone. So your mom's cell phone was a blue iPhone 11 sparkly case pop socket.
I'm pretty sure, yes.
All right, if I told you that we found a pink one, do you know who that would belong to?
A pink phone?
Yeah.
I mean, she bought phones all the time, so...
Oh, okay. So it's possible she had a pink one also?
Was there a pink one? Yeah, the pink case was. A pink case or a pink phone?
I'm going to be honest, I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Because I didn't see them.
Yeah, that's hers.
The pink one would also be hers?
Yeah.
Okay. Who was it you asked?
Who was it did you ask? She's gonna tell him. She's gonna tell him Tanisha Coleman, the neighbor, who essentially lied about Mustafa, gave the police probable cause a bunch of lies, and then turned around, and we have her on a phone call admit to the mother of Mustafa that Mustafa is the best thing that happened to the children. Mustafa loved his girlfriend, Dorothy, loved the children. And we don't need Tanisha Coleman to say that. We have the Google Nest videos inside the apartment. But you have that neighbor who's weaponized the children is in the background with the 16-year-old. That's interesting. I mean, specifically, the phone call with the mother of Mustafa Al-Jazari is very important because what she told the mother of Mustafa Al-Jazari is that Mustafa loved his girlfriend, loved the children, but you should talk to Javen, the 14-year-old. Well, that's interesting. So you weaponize the children, and now you want to pull yourself away from this whole entire case, and you want to say, talk to the children. Which children? Are we talking about the same child in a forensic interview, 14-year-old Javen, who says, they told me, investigator told me, that Mustafa killed my mother on purpose, ran away, left my 5-year-old baby sister to bleed to death. They could have saved her. The police could have saved her. But Mustafa ran away. We have that forensic interview. So you weaponize the children, you and the police, and you walk them through a forensic interview. Now you have these, you messed with their heads. Children that needed Mustafa in their most vulnerable time. You weaponize them. And then you pull yourself out of the whole case and you say, Mustafa loved the children, loved his girlfriend, but you should talk to Javen. Which Javen? Which 14-year-old? The 14 that you weaponized? That the police weaponized? That the police allowed you to weaponize? And now she's in the background with the 16-year-old who's being used to lie about Mustafa. Who I remind this community, that 16-year-old does not live at the apartment. Is separated by CPS, lives with her dad. Her dad pierces all the strippers for Billy Bain Jr. out of Crystal City. Billy Bain Jr. went viral before Mustafa met Dorothy. That club owner went viral for being racist to Mustafa. There's a video. He has a giant problem with Mustafa and is now related and influencing this case. That 16-year-old? That's interesting. And now you have Davis on speed dial with that 16-year-old while the neighbor is in the background. And then as soon as he gets off that phone, when we zoom in on Investigator Davis' phone, you'll see that Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is being notified. He's got a bunch of texts. He calls her. And Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to tell Judge Weimer, Your Honor, I'm not aware of what took place. At first, she says nothing happened. And then once Brad Haywood, the defense attorney, tells her, I have body cam that shows the children are weaponized. And then she turns around and throws her police officer under the bus. She says, I had no idea. I wasn't notified of anything. Well, I have the body cam to tell you, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, and specifically tell you, Judge Weimer, show you, Judge Weimer, a body cam where this Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, is lying to you. So the question is, are we entitled to the communication that took place with witnesses, influencing witnesses used in the Mustafa Al-Jazari? I say the case out of the Supreme Court, Brady versus Maryland, entitles Brad Haywood to the communication.
The neighbor.
Okay. Are you over in
Did you hear
Foxlair?
what she just said? Davis says, who are you with? Who's in the background? Let's rewind that just a little bit.
Okay. Who was it you asked?
The neighbor.
Okay.
The neighbor.
Are you over in Foxlair now?
No, we're in Manassas right now.
Okay. All right. Would you know how to get into your mom's phones if I need to?
Huh?
Would you know how to get into your mom's phone?
I could try, but
you're not 100%?
I could try, but I'm not 100%.
Okay. All right. Okay. We're just trying to figure out whose phones were whose. All right. So yeah, here's what I'll do. I'm gonna call the victim witness people and see if I can put you in touch with them, and then they see if they'll be the ones to keep you updated as to court proceedings. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. And if I have any questions about the phones, I'll give you a call back.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's all I can think of right now.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Thanks, Kylie.
Hey, you're welcome.
All right. Bye.
Now I'm going to zoom in on that phone. And what you'll see is that he's calling prosecutor Sarah Sammy. He's calling prosecutor Sarah Sammy. He's got a whole entire pages of text messages with Sarah Sammy. Let's zoom in on that phone. There we go. Let's see if we can put that on the screen. That's beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? See if we can zoom in.
Thanks, Kylie. All right, bye. All right. I appreciate it. Thanks, Kylie. All right, bye.
That's one. Let's see. He dials this number.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Thanks, Kylie.
Let's see if we can zoom in and find out who's he calling, who's he communicating with. Because our prosecutor, Sarah Sammy, wants to tell Judge Weimer that she was never notified of anything. She's not aware of what communication took place. All right. So we got the phone number. Let's see. Interesting. A whole entire page of communication. There we go. There we go. Interesting. Interesting. Judge Weimer, how do you feel about a prosecutor who flat out lies to you in court, telling you that she is not aware of any communication that took place? But I'm watching on a body cam where Davis is calling prosecutor Sarah Sammy on his phone, on a body cam. That's interesting. Let's plug that in. And you can easily find this body cam under the channel, YouTube channel, Not Another Boring Podcast. There is a file, police body cam dash Mustafa Al-Jazari, and this body cam specifically is titled Exhibit Number 48.
8-3 quarterback. Let's find another linebacker. Your call has been forwarded to an they have Powell and Brissett, and you can go find veteran X to be your third guy.
Pete Haley's with us at NBC Sports Washington Beltway Football Podcast here on BBC. Now, of course, very high on most fans' list of needs this offseason is, of course, Brian and I were talking about this earlier, this latest report from...
And we're going to zoom in a second and see exactly... You can zoom in on your end. We'll zoom
where are
in
you
also.
on this? I mean, is anything dragging out much longer? Where do you think the timeline really lies? We've heard...
Let's go directly to zooming in. There we go. There we go. See if that's going to come up. There we go. What do we have here? Oh, the prosecutor's phone number. Interesting. All right. So prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to tell Judge Carol Weimer that she was never notified of the communication, that she has no idea what her police officers are telling witnesses. Oh, there we go. Interesting. That's interesting. Sarah Sammy. We have Davis calling you after he talked to an alleged witness. Doesn't that entitle the defense for those communications? Brady versus Maryland. Did you study anything when you got your fucking bar degree? Sarah Sammy. Brady versus Maryland entitles Brad Hayward, Mustafa's defense, to the communication, to your communication. Oh, there we go. Sarah Sammy is being notified, but she wants to tell Judge Weimer. I mean, are we looking at the same thing here? Sarah, I've got Davis reaching out to you and notifying you of what he is doing. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is terrified. Is terrified. Is terrified that these communications are going to come out. She tells Judge Carol Weimer, it's dangerous, Your Honor. It's dangerous that I release my communication. Why is it dangerous, ma'am? What are we going to find in your communication when you're talking to these police officers? Are you instructing them on what to do and how to falsify this case? Are we going to find that you're instructing them on how to weaponize the children against Mustafa? Are we going to find that you're instructing Officer Chad Mason to cut and mute the dash camera, who I remind this community already admitted to Judge Carol Weimer that he cut and muted Mustafa's dash camera? Are we going to find that you're instructing those officers to chop up Mustafa's vehicle, to stage Mustafa's vehicle? Are we going to find that you're instructing your officers on weaponizing the children and allowing individuals to manufacture and lie about Mustafa? Why is it dangerous that you'll release your communication, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy? Judge Carol Weimer, I'm not going to jump to the conclusion that you're a corrupt judge. I'm going to let the community decide. The community is the deciding factor. Now, 18 Brady violations went through that you approved. 18. You can't say these are frivolous Brady violation. You approved them. And you have no choice not to approve them. We've got the body cams. We've got the file that this police department weaponized the children against Mustafa. That the police department crushed and staged the vehicle. The officer drum falsified Mustafa's statements. Now, Judge Weimer, you denied the release of the communication of Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, even though out of the Supreme Court, Brady versus Maryland entitles the defense to those communications. Specifically, when we're watching a body cam, that she is being notified of what is going on with the witnesses that's being used in this case. Now, what we're going to do, by the way, this is one body cam. I have multiple body cam that she's being notified. What we're going to do tomorrow, we're going to have a podcast at the county courthouse parking lot. And me and my co-host, we're going to go over the discovery. We're going to go over the whole entire discovery. Every step of the way, you'll see Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is being notified. Every step of the way. When they found out that Mustafa's vehicle had brake failure, she's being notified. When the children are being weaponized, she's being notified. Abused in the process. Children abused in the process. She's being notified. When they falsified Mustafa's statement, she's being notified. When they crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle, she's being notified. Every step of the way. We're going to go over the discovery. We're going to go over the multiple body cams where she is being notified, and we're building a case on this prosecutor Sarah Sammy, so that Judge Weimer releases the communication. We are building a case. Now, Judge Weimer, I'm not going to jump to conclusion that you're a corrupt judge. I'm going to let the community decide. It's possible that you're unaware of what is going on with this prosecutor. You're unaware what she's doing, how she's using police officers, how she's instructing police officers to falsify this case. You're unaware. That's a possibility. Another possibility is you're unaware and now you're waking up to that reality. 18 Brady violation that you got to approve. But you denied the most crucial piece of evidence. The most crucial piece of this case is the communication that the defense is entitled to. This is exculpatory evidence. Brady versus Maryland. So it's possible that you're waking up to the reality and you don't know that this prosecutor is still not completely being honest with you. She's telling you in court that I had no idea, but yet we're watching body cams that she is being notified. We're going to go through the discovery that she is being notified and that she lied to you. So we're going to now jump to the conclusion, because it's possible that you don't know and you're waking up to that reality. And hopefully that when you do see that this prosecutor is lying to you, we're going to build a case that you're going to release and order her to release her communications. And we're going to let the community decide. Or maybe you're just flat out corrupt and is protecting a prosecutor that's using police officer to falsify this case. So we're not going to jump to conclusion. We're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to have everybody... Tomorrow, we're going to do a podcast at the county courthouse in the parking lot, and we're going to go over major detail. And we're going to call that podcast specifically The Nail in the Coffin. I think that's a good name for that podcast. It's the nail in the coffin because it implicates this prosecutor. She wants to pretend that she doesn't know. Well, you have Sarah. Sarah, you cannot hide from what you've done. In this case, prosecutor Sarah Sammy, you cannot hide in what you've done in this case. You can't get rid of me. You've used the court to come after me. I'm here and I'm going nowhere. I have a file on you that implicates you in this case. Tomorrow we're going to do a podcast, so tune in. We're going to call that podcast The Nail in the Coffin. I want to thank everybody for being here. Don't forget to hit the like button, share the podcast, support the podcast through the Cash App. Thank you for being here. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa, through the police body cams. Judge Carol Weimer, you're under the microscope, and the community is the deciding factor.
2 years in a cell, no trial, no voice. Truth buried deep, but we ain't got no choice. They tried to erase them, break them apart, but we scream free Mustafa. From the soul, from the heart. They falsified the paper, twisted every word, turned a car crash to murder, like justice never heard. Dorothy and Empress, angels in the sky. Now they blame a broken man while the real ones lie. A badge and a pen, that's all it took. Signed his fate with a false report and a dirty look.
Wherever the ambulance on the other side, let's fuck that guy good. Follow him to the hotel.
And again, scream Mustafa, loud through the chains. Justice corrupted, drowning in pain. From the cell block to the street, we'll never stop till the walls fall down and the charges drop. Free Mustafa, it's more than a name, it's a movement, a mission, exposing the game to Trump and Cash. Hear our cry, bring the truth to light, let the innocent fly. Amy Ashworth, playing judge and the jury in a county so dirty, soaked in fury. Police and the courts all in on the plot. They framed an innocent man and left his soul to rot. But his family's out marching, banners held high, while supporters flood timelines, refusing to lie. They want silence, we give them the storm. Truth blazing through like justice reborn. Every post, every chant, every sleepless night is a spark in the dark that's ready to ignite. This ain't just a song, it's a battle cry for every soul locked up while the guilty lie. We free Mustafa, loud through the chains. Justice corrupted, drowning in pain. From the cell block to the street, we'll never stop till the walls fall down and the charges drop. Free Mustafa, it's more than a name, it's a movement, a mission, exposing the game to Trump and Cash. Hear our cry, bring the truth to light, let the innocent fly. 2 years too long, time to rise above. Truth is power when fueled by love. So we'll march, we'll fight, we'll never let go until Mustafa walks free and the whole world knows. In a cell, no trial, no voice. Truth buried deep, but we ain't got no choice. They tried to erase them, break them apart, but we scream free Mustafa. From the soul, from the heart. They falsified the paper, twisted every word, turned a car crash to murder like justice never heard. Dorothy and Empress, angels in the sky. Now they blame a broken man while the real ones lie. A badge and a pen, that's all it took. Signed his fate with a false report and a dirty look.
Wherever the ambulance on the other side. What the fuck that guy do? Follow him and get down.
And again, scream Mustafa, loud through the chains. Justice corrupted, drowning in pain. From the cell block to the street, we'll never stop till the walls fall down and the charges drop. Free Mustafa, it's more than a name, it's a movement, a mission, exposing the game to Trump and Cash. Hear our cry, bring the truth to light, let the innocent fly. Amy Ashworth, playing judge and the jury in a county so dirty, soaked in fury. Police and the courts all in on the plot. They framed an innocent man and left his soul to rot. But his family's out marching, banners held high, while supporters flood timelines, refusing to lie. They want silence, we give them the storm. Truth blazing through like justice reborn. Every post, every chant, every sleepless night is a spark in the dark that's ready to ignite. This ain't just a song, it's a battle cry for every soul locked up while the guilty lie. We free Mustafa, loud through the chains. Justice corrupted, drowning in pain. From the cell block to the street, we'll never stop till the walls fall down and the charges drop. Free Mustafa, it's more than a name, it's a movement, a mission, exposing the game to Trump and Cash. Hear our cry, bring the truth to light, let the innocent fly. 2 years too long, time to rise above. Truth is power when fueled by love. So we'll march, we'll fight, we'll never let go until Mustafa walks free and the whole world knows. In a cell, no trial, no voice. Truth buried deep, but we ain't got no choice. They tried to erase them, break them apart, but we scream free Mustafa. From the soul, from the heart. They falsified the paper, twisted every word, turned a car crash to murder like justice never heard. Dorothy and Empress, angels in the sky. Now they blame a broken man while the real ones lie. A badge and a pen, that's all it took. Signed his fate with a false report and a dirty look.
Wherever the ambulance on the other side. What the fuck that guy do? Follow him and get down.
And again, scream Mustafa, loud through the chains. Justice corrupted, drowning in pain. From the cell block the innocent fly. Amy Ashworth, playing judge and the jury in a county so dirty, soaked in fury. Police and the courts all in on the plot. They framed an innocent man and left his soul to rot. But his family's out marching, banners held high, while supporters flood timelines, refusing to lie. They want silence, we give them the storm. Truth blazing through like justice reborn. Every post, every chant, every sleepless night is a spark in the dark that's ready to ignite. This ain't just a song, it's a battle cry for every soul locked up while the guilty lie. We free Mustafa, loud through the chains. Justice corrupted, drowning in pain. From the cell block to the street, we'll never stop till the walls fall down and the charges drop. Free Mustafa, it's more than a name, it's a movement, a mission, exposing the game to Trump and Cash. Hear our cry, bring the truth to light, let the innocent fly. 2 years too long, time to rise above. Truth is power when fueled by love. So we'll march, we'll fight, we'll never let go until Mustafa walks free and the whole world